Morning all. What have you got for me today, Alison?
Feminist gets man sacked. Free speech crushed.
Interesting title. Who's it by?
By Angry Aussie.
G'day viewers. How's things in your world?
Right now in my world. Well, I won't lie. I am very disappointed in Alison for breaking the no turd twice rule. And with Angry Aussie of all people. Yes, hang your head, you little rascal. But it's alright. I'll let you off, since this is a story about Clementine Ford. If I am to speak about Clementine Ford, I would at least rather not have to look at her. I would rather take 10 big sniffs of Aussie's morning shit than spend a second in the same hemisphere as that bawdy little crossbiter. Plus, I have developed an ability to tolerate you, Aussie. I'm looking forward to more of your face dumps so I can poop you again. So for those of you who find the YouTube pooping rather immature and off-putting, fuck you. It's how I cope sometimes. And some people like it. And some people don't like the things that you do like. So take the rough with the smooth, like everyone else. The poops only last a few seconds and they're annoying because they're supposed to be annoying. I've found a way to be more annoying than Angry Aussie, alright? No one ever said this was going to be pretty.
Well, we're here to share some of our view of the world with you again.
And we're honoured and pleased to do that because you're nice. Thank you.
You sound like someone begging not to be sacked. You don't look like it. You look like someone who's never had a job that didn't involve earplugs, but you sound like someone pleading to have the vice loosened on their balls. That's by no means uncommon, of course. Most men sound like that nowadays. They spend their childhoods desperately trying not to be called gay, then they spend their adolescence desperately trying not to be called creepy, and then they spend the rest of their lives desperately trying not to be called misogynists. And the harder they try, the harder they fall. Because behind every doorway is another twisted corridor leading back to the start. And if these people tell this story to their children as they sleep, maybe one day they'll see a hero. It's just a man who knows he is free.
I'll share with you. There's a story came out of Australia this week that reached a little bit around the world. I found via the internet about a dirty feminist.
Pretty sure you said venomists there.
Venomist.
It's ironic, right? Your country contains like 90% of the world's snake venom. Most of that is in Clementine Ford's ovaries.
Got a bloke sacked. Ruined his life.
Destroyed.
And that sounds awful and vindictive.
It does. It would sound that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually it does. Unless you tell us a good reason why this proverbial feminist got this man sacked. And if you say that it involved words that didn't have the words blackmail in them, or weren't considered legally libelous, I am not going to be pleased. I don't think you give a shit, but I won't be pleased. I don't give a shit that you don't give a shit, because I'm not actually doing this for men's approval, because I don't expect to get it. I'm doing this because I believe that it's part of being a reasonable human being to care about the rights of people who don't necessarily look like you.
Her name, I've actually mentioned her before because she is a bit of a high profile. Her name's Clementine Ford. Actually bought this shirt off her website. I gave her money.
Do you feel exploited by that, Aussie? Do any of you feel exploited by the women on whom you choose to spend money? For future reference, please write down your answer.
Okay. So yeah, it's not paid product placement, but I'm just throwing it out there in the nature of full disclosure.
I didn't give her any money because I'm broke.
Did Clem Ford get you fired from a job?
When you look in Clem Ford's story, what happened? She was delivered all this abuse by this guy on Facebook who used like his real Facebook account with his real name and stuff.
All this abuse. Did she not do anything at all to instigate it? I mean, I don't mean did she invite it. Well, actually, I do mean did she invite it. You know, there's a rule, I believe, in Canada where after 3 punches, if you punch back, it's considered mutual combat. I think that should apply to Facebook and Twitter. Did she engage in asshole-ish behavior herself? Just doing a little tickle through my Rolodex. Clementine Ford is a bit of a dick. And I highly doubt that this didn't involve some form of instigation on her part.
And I've asked my brother Angry, what has set all this off, my brother? What did she do to him to upset him so?
She basically existed and was a feminist.
If that's all feminists did, I would be perfectly happy with them. Like, there's a lot of like religious communes out there that just sort of exist as their identity, as their religious identity. No problem with them. Feminism is not like that. You can't be a feminist unless you proselytize, unless you go out on your little feminist missions and try to make more of yourselves and force everybody to agree with the good word. So, yeah, I mean, if she was just hanging out and he just happened to slap a couple mean comments on her, I would still say that's not worth getting someone fired over.
She did not direct anything to him.
Oh, hey, Aussie, mate, are you lying? Do you just not know and you're lying? Or do you know and you're lying? Either way, you're lying, aren't you? You're just going straight to didn't do nothing because didn't do nothing. I mean, and until this chap came along, all Clementine Ford ever did was write nice things on the internet. Especially about men. Morning, noon, and night, she's just saying, I love men are brilliant. And then a man jumped out of the shadows and went, fuck you, bitch, for no reason.
And his Facebook profile said who he worked for, and so she basically sent a message to the employer saying, this is the dude who says he works for you. Are you okay with that? And they went, yeah, not really.
No,
and he did get sacked.
Yes, he got sacked because of her. That is what you just described. The story you just told is the story of a woman getting a man sacked.
But here's the thing.
Ooh, the thing? That sounds like an epiphany. What's the thing?
She didn't get him sacked.
Oh, I see. The thing is where you pretend reality didn't happen. You select pieces of reality and pretend they didn't happen because reality in this instance appears to contain a woman being a responsible agent capable of making the first move or a mistake ever. This reality will not do. Erase it. That's what the thing is.
And, by the way, the bullshit that some people have been spreading, it wasn't as simple as he called her a slut.
But it was absolutely, precisely as simple as she didn't do a fucking thing.
It was an extended, nasty, sexist, misogynist, violent...
What would be really helpful here, and in general, would be an example of a violent message. Not an aggressive message, not a threatening message, a violent message. See, most people understand violence to be a word that strictly refers to physical confrontation. As such, the only way a written message can be violent is if it contains a boxing glove and a spring, or some anthrax or something. So for you to invoke the concept of a violent message is in itself an extraordinary claim. Extraordinary claims require what? Extraordinary evidence. And yet I have scarcely ever seen the charge of cyber violence accompanied by any evidence at all, let alone the necessary extraordinary evidence. The best Sarkeesian can come up with is you're a liar and you suck. If you think reading that on the internet is the same as getting punched in the face, you are officially demented. And you've very probably never been punched in the face. I'm not saying anyone should. I'm just saying it would explain why you think it's no worse than reading mean things on the internet. It would explain how you became such a gigantic, not even pussy, just a gigantic, undeveloped proto-vagina of a stillborn fetus. Is this a violent message? What I'm saying now, is that a violent message? And if so, then what, pray tell, do we call all the screaming you do?
And racist.
Racist against who? Gingers? If that counts as racism now, then every school is a hive of normalised institutional racism. And this drama with the loudmouth Sheila is the least of your fucking problems.
Series of messages.
Series of messages. And she was not responding to any of them. Or did he like tweet? Did he leave a comment like "kill all women"? Women should be fired into the sun. This is some of the stuff that he was leading
On his timeline, okay? It's basically he was a fucking piece of shit, and if you don't agree, you're a fucking piece of shit.
Or did you just call me a piece of shit? Does that count as misogyny or just general misanthropy? Since you'll call, if I was a man, you'd be calling me a piece of shit too.
I'll just put this out there. The people going, oh, well, I'll play devil's advocate. Fuck you!
Devil's advocate doesn't necessarily believe the alternate position. They're just playing it in order to strengthen yours as, I don't know what, the non-devil's advocate. I don't know what the fuck you are. Anyway.
He's a piece of shit!
Why are you pointing at Aidsy when you say that?
He's a piece of shit!
His name's Aidsy, apparently. Aussie and Aidsy. I'm guessing Aussie gave him that name. It's like a gay joke or something, right? When you're not calling him Aidsy, you're calling him a piece of shit for no reason. And he's just going, why?
He's a piece of shit! He's a piece of shit! He's a piece of shit! He's a piece of shit!
You might have the worst life in the world, Aidsy. I mean, think of how easy it was for me to say that sentence.
Let the devil advocate for him fucking self.
And you are officially more parochial and small-minded than the fucking Pope. Is the Pope Catholic? Well, he's not quite as Catholic as Aidsy.
These guys fucking try and get away with this shit all the fucking time.
Calling a woman a slut. Having mean words. Presenting mean words in the presence of a woman. Men try to get away with this shit all the time. And women don't. Because women are little fucking angels. Sugar and spice, everyone.
The internet is not an anonymizer.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to correct you. I'm not going to call you a fuckwit. You just freestyled a word, and that's fucking cool. And it's obvious what it means. Anyone not know what an anonymizer is? Straightforward as fuck. It's a thing that makes you anonymous. Excellent word, nicely coined, sir. Oh, but the internet is an anonymizer because making people anonymous is exactly what it fucking does, you fuckwit.
People know who you are and you're being a fuckwit.
You know, I have to sort of agree with that. Don't... You're poking a fucking tiger if you engage with these women who are vindictive and willing to contact your employer to get you fired.
Fired. See? Another coinage. It's when they turn you into a monk. Well, you did abolish the devil's advocate. What did you think was going to happen?
Or to just sort of put, put the two concepts in juxtaposition. And they'll use weasel words and say, no, she didn't actually tell her to fire her. This person, it works for you. He said this. No context. And, yeah. This is just sort of weasel word. Don't poke tigers, guys. Don't poke tigers. Leave her the fuck alone. Just She's a tiger. She's gonna eat you. So I will agree that this guy should not have done that. On the other hand, if it was an extended exchange, it's... Jesus fucking Christ, what I have been called on Facebook. Like, what the names I have been called. Seriously, he got fired over that. Well, Angry Aussie just called me a piece of shit. Is that... And I'm a woman. Gears are moving.
And this guy, prime fuckwit, the idea of doing it while identifying yourself and who you work for, this is as if...
It really is. It's one of the most as if things I've ever heard.
In, like, a public bar, like at a work do, while you're wearing your work shirt with the company logo on it, standing next to the CEO, you shouted this stuff at a stranger. What was going to happen then?
What happens when Clementine Ford does it? Fuck all, Aussie! The CEO goes, dig that crazy Clementine, man! And then the CEO fucking hurries briskly away, thinking, don't say anything, we don't want to get sued by this rape crazy bitch.
I know, though, that there is a petition to get Clementine Ford fired for her bullshit. I don't actually support that. I think people should be able to say what they like on the internet and not have to have real life repercussions unless it ends up in libel or they're in a position of power over minors or something like that. I mean, and then there's some reasonable considerations when I say that, but saying slut on Facebook, no one should be fired over that.
It's like these guys going, oh! It's like these guys going, oh! It's like these guys going, like these guys going, like these guys going, oh!
Fuck you, I'm coping.
We can't say anything without the damn feminists getting us fired.
I've been trying my damnedest to get fired and it's not working. Any advice?
Here's a fucking tip, you fucking wank! Here's a fucking tip, you fucking wank and wank and wank and wank and... Here's a fucking tip, you fucking wank, 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 wank and wank!
Don't be telling me you're not laughing right now. You so are.
If the sort of shit you were gonna do online will get you sacked, don't fucking do it!
How the fuck would some men anticipate what would have gotten them fired? Donglegate. How could you anticipate that a fucking dongle joke would get a guy fired? Like, seriously, some of this stuff is so... The offense is so rarefied. Only people with advanced degrees in offense taking can identify these particles of offense. These are rare species of offense. Nobody else would possibly be able to identify in the wild. So how are you going to expect someone like myself, who is, I'll admit, I am very lay. I'm a lay person when it comes to taking offense, to understand what the professional offense taker finds offensive, and anticipate it to make sure that they don't go after my job, which they can't because no one would care. But seriously, like, first of all, if you want us to do this, the feminists have to come together and create some sort of elements of offense, like an offense elements table, a chemistry. Like, just label. Just give us a guide. Give us a guide to all of your... But you know what? That would remove a big portion of why feminists do what they do. They don't want you to know, because then they can keep you walking on eggshells. And at any moment, spring this rarefied species of offense on you. And what do? I mean, the element of surprise is crucial to the feminist playbook. So they're never going to create an element of offense in which they identify all the rare earth offenses. No, that's not going to happen. We're just going to be left in the dark.
Free speech is being impinged. No. In no definition does free speech ever mean you don't have to take responsibility for the shit you say and do.
Who gets to define what that responsibility is? This is what's so creepy about these people. If the speech that this man engaged in, what the fuck is wrong with this man on the left? Why are your eyes doing that? Like, I'm sorry, folks. I just completely lost my train of thought. What the fuck is wrong with your friend? Like, is he about to explode? I noticed that he's visibly fatter. Are you inflating him via some sort of air nozzle? Like, what? Oh, anyway, what was I saying? If it's, I can't do this and look at him. If I can see him in my peripheral vision, it's really it's very distracting. Okay, if the offense doesn't raise to the level of being illegal, why should someone get fired over it? Unless, they're in PR and they're dealing with the public image of the company or speaking as official company representative. Like, why should the consequences? Why should people have more consequences to their speech than already exist legally?
It doesn't even exist in Australia in a legal and constitutional sense.
That brought him back to earth. See, this is what made him go catatonic just now.
Take responsibility for the shit you say and do.
Oh, fuck, I took so much crank I fucked a baby.
It doesn't even exist.
I mean, I was hanging around Tasmania and I couldn't find any fucking guns.
In Australia in a legal and constitutional sense.
But free speech doesn't exist, so I'm safe.
So that's always annoying to us.
Yeah.
Free speech is annoying, yes, and scary and difficult and mean.
My free speech, you don't actually have any. In Australia, it's not a thing, it's not real.
Oh, thank fuck for that. I mean, the exploded laboratory experiment of poisonous animals is all well and good, but for a second there I thought your land might bear the deadly freeze peach tree. No, it's all a myth, is it? Phew.
You get extended privileges by federal and state governments on a regular basis, and they will go a long fucking way to extend the privilege to you, but after a bit of effort, if you try to fuck up other people with your free speech, they will put you in the jail with the rapists.
Yeah.
I believe you. I wish I didn't believe you, but I do. The thing you did with your eyes earlier on is more than explained by what your entire body was doing when you said rapists.
In the jail with the rapists.
In order to edit these videos, I have to watch every clip like 5 times at least. Even more if I'm fucking with the effects. And I watched that quite a lot of times. And to be honest, I'd be more surprised if it didn't give me an acid flashback.
And even in the US, where there's constitutional protection for free speech, it's protection against the government limiting what private individuals can express.
You know what's interesting is that some kinds of free speech that I would say really, really cross the line are the kinds of free speech that constitute a widespread incitement of hatred towards a group of people. And usually you can identify that by that group of people being presented as part of some sort of mysterious conspiracy to oppress society or the preferred group in society. Or alternatively, you'll see them being seen as sexually predatory. That kind of thing. It's sort of like a widespread social threat narrative, and you can see examples of it. Nazi war propaganda against the Jews, Jim Crow against black people, and pretty much any situation in which one group of people wanted to dehumanize another. What do? They say, they got unearned privileges over us, and they're part of a conspiracy to keep us down, and they also rape us. They rape our women. What? That sounds familiar somehow. And it sounds like something Angry Aussie, like a particular belief group. Oh, yes. Outspoken Australian feminist commentator Oh yeah, that's right. Oh. So Clementine Ford, who tweeted on the Kill All Men hashtag, and most definitely promotes these ideas that men are privileged, and they're part of a conspiracy to keep women down, and they're also responsible for rape culture. Yeah, that's the kind of speech that I would say starting to cross the line.
And it's not boundless. You can't incite people to crime. You can't incite people to violence. You can't defame people. You can't make shit up to ruin someone's life.
Unless you're a feminist whose fifis were hurt by someone on the internet. In which case, it is your duty to give your enemies what they obviously have coming. So get them fired, get them assaulted, get them imprisoned. If the prisons run out of space with all the Twitter insulters and we have no more room for all the rapists, fuck it! Set all the rapists free. We need to set an example. We can't have all these internet hooligans running around perpetuating rape culture.
There are a whole bunch of things that there are fucking repercussions for. And in the private sector in the US, it doesn't count. If you do something that your employer thinks makes you look like the sort of person they don't want to associate with, they'll fucking fire you, okay?
Yeah, like they fired Marxists and gay people. Always justified.
Magic, right?
Oh yeah, and they also fired black people who were part of the civil rights movement, or they thought were friendly to the civil rights movement in the South. So yeah, definitely the employer's decisions regarding free speech are where we should draw the line. And funny how they're defending an employer's decision regarding free speech. You know, it's funny how a lot of this feminist conversation seems to defend corporate corruption and malfeasance.
And just these guys who complain about this, they're so fucking weak.
Yes, they are weak. They have very little power. And feminists are strong. They have a great deal of power. So why the fuck are you helping the feminists? Why are you helping the powerful people? That sounds like something a coward would do. Sounds like something a weak person would do.
That's what I don't get.
That's one of the many things you don't get.
They're all threatened by feminists.
Yes, that's another.
I'm not threatened by feminists.
Look, according to you, no one is ever threatened by feminists. Feminists just sit there quietly being feminists, and then big nasty men come and cyber rape them for no reason. Feminists never talk openly on the internet about killing men, and feminists never change the law so women can get away with killing men. Why on earth would anyone feel threatened by that?
I'm not that fucking scared, okay?
Yeah, I'm threatened by feminists, because feminists are probably going to be the ones who are successful in getting the internet turned into a fucking censorship zone, into fucking North Korea. They're the ones who are going to be successful in doing that. I mean, when men can't do it, you know, you trot out the women with the tears and they'll get it done. They'll get her done. So yeah, I'm actually a little bit scared of feminists, and I'm not afraid to say so.
I disagree with a lot of things said by people who describe themselves as feminists.
Oh, yes.
People disagree, but I'm not a weak, scared fucking child, okay?
The phrase, "what are you really angry about?" springs to mind. I mean, you're presenting a story about a woman who deliberately went on a vindictive real-life vendetta with real-life consequences because someone called her some rude names in another dimension, and you're staring right past her, and you are yelling at her victim. And yelling at all her other potential victims. You're yelling at them for being weak, scared children. I mean, you are pathologically incapable of holding women accountable for anything. And it's making you extremely angry about everything else. Like, I'm making a principle not to go ad hominem, Aussie, but there's a little Freud in all of us. And cases like you just coax that Freud out like a snark chamber. Snake. Snark. Did I say snark chamber? I fucking said snark. Okay. Obviously, okay. Obviously, I meant to say snake charmer, but I think we're gonna go with that. Might do for a title, actually. Snark chamber. We're a very efficient team, us four. It's a shame this will never happen again.
God, that's pathetic! How weak and scared these people are!
Okay, so we can disagree with feminists because people disagree, but being afraid of feminists? Why wouldn't you be afraid of them? They're a very powerful political lobby group with extremely unhinged ends. Like, they don't seem to have any kind of... And I know this is a slippery slope fallacy, or potentially a slippery slope fallacy, but it's not a slippery slope fallacy when the car you're riding in doesn't have any brakes. And feminism doesn't have any brakes when it comes to the whole let's ignore male victimhood and to focus exclusively on female victimhood thing, which, yeah, just project that into the future a little and it's fucking scary.
The idea that there could ever be a repercussion for anything I do, that's unspeakable.
What about the repercussions for what Ms. Ford did? Are those speakable? Let me guess. When men experience it, it's called repercussions and justice. When women experience the exact same thing, it's called harassment and abuse. And that's why men get fired for it and women don't. See, women are only allowed to have this prescribed experience, and men are only allowed to have this prescribed experience because we don't believe in restrictive binary gender roles. You people are mental. I know you don't know you are. You never will. That's why you're mental. And it's also how you're mental. And it is why no one ever need listen to you. You're not even the good kind of mental. You're the fucking hell I want to be somewhere else kind of mental.
The world! These guys see where they go, the world!
You can't say anything.
These guys see where they go, now I'm being harassed because a bunch of women, this literally happened, a bunch of women officially banded together and say, we are going to publicly identify the guys who do that. They go, the world!
You can't say anything.
These guys see where they go, now I'm the one being harassed.
Is that not possible? I mean, if you irritate this group of women, is it not possible that they could use their platform to harass for no legitimate reason? If you had like a secret cabal of men who targeted women for her... Whoa. If you had like this group of men on social media who targeted women they disagreed with like they targeted them with comments and harassment and trying to get them... I mean, just reverse what you're saying here. You're saying that there's this secret cabal of women who's targeting men they disagree with. We don't know if these men are actually harassing. We don't know if these men are actually harassing these women. All we know is that these women have formed a secret cabal of targeting particular men. I mean, just reverse that in your mind. What do you get? Just reverse that. A secret group of men on the internet targeting women for harassment. What do you get? But the reverse is fine because, you know, sugar and spice, right?
In their world, harassment. See, the real world, for a woman, harassment means regular, nasty, vicious, extended, brutal, verbal attacks threatening rape, murder, and threatening your family.
Okay, citation, please. Fuck this. Just give me a citation. Where does it say that women are... None of the evidence that I have seen has suggested that women are more likely to be harassed or more likely to be harassed worse than men. Full stop, period. None.
For men, harassment is apparently someone calling you out for that sort of fuckery.
Called it. Yes, Aussie, when it happens to women, it's called harassment. When the same thing happens to men, it's called repercussions. Because you live in a black and white castle in the fucking sky, Aussie, where women never do shit and shit never happens to men. And you don't need any evidence for this. You don't even have a Bible to point to and pretend it's evidence. You just know that life for women is eternal hell and life for men is eternal paradise. The only evidence you have is the hole in your own fucking head, but that is enough for you to justify locking women in an eternal hell so you can live in an eternal paradise. And the scariest thing of all is you think you're doing them a favour by screaming bloody murder at anyone who challenges your schema, anyone who prefers to think of women as not living in eternal hell. No! Stay in hell, witch! I'm skating on the edge of saying something, aren't I, Aussie? Who taught you how to scream like that?
Okay? Grow the fuck up, you pathetic, weak pieces of shit!
I mean, it wasn't your geography teacher, was it? There's so much I want to say to both of you before we part company for what I sincerely hope is the last time this time. But I'll leave it there. I don't think you're going to understand. One cannot unlearn being raised by wolves. You see what I mean? But perhaps others can learn from you. Clementine, my darling. These are the kind of men who support you. You know, I wish you the best of luck in your endeavours. I'm sure the world you build will be simply splendid. Ta-ta! I genuinely hope I never see any of your faces again. Except Pook. It's Alison's cat. Oh, all right, and Alison too.
Mike, I apologize for forcing this on you, and I know that you said no turd twice rule, but yeah, I did it.
I'm glad I have a clip of you saying that. Totally worth it.
Honey badger, lift the face off the puppet master, choose it up like a honey master, spit it out into your copy pasta. The honey badger.